Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Funny Thing Is podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Birch, where every week I bring you someone who shares their life-changing event, the medicine that got them better, and the funniest lesson they learned along the way. Today is no exception. Today I have a wonderful guest with me, a friend I've known since I was probably 14 years old, a writer, producer, and actress, Sarah Rodenbaugh. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm so excited to be here and see you.
I'm so excited. We've known each other since we did freshman year together in high school.
Which would have been 96?
Yes, 96.
Good old 90s. I still have my Birkenstocks from that year.
Do you?
Nope. Doc Martens.
Doc Martens. Go
both coming back.
Baser Linwood Bobcats.
BLHS.
Yes.
Double zero.
So I'm going to just get straight to it.
Do it.
So what is the life-changing event that changed everything for you?
So I was 20 years old and I was in college at Wichita State.
Okay.
And my brother was 4 years older than me and started having very severe depression at a very young age.
Like how old
like
did you say?
11.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, really young of feelings like I don't want to be here anymore. And like so many, unfortunately, who take their lives, they're kind of like not made for this world.
Yeah.
So fucking smart.
Right.
Brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Just beyond.
Right.
But having trouble connecting with other people.
Okay.
So I always say it was unexpected, but not a surprise. And so when I got a call from my mom to let me know what had happened, she didn't have to say much. Luckily, she had called a friend of mine to come over and be with me.
Okay.
But of course, when my friend knocked on the door, you know, in my college days at like 9 a.m. on a Saturday.
You knew like there's something up. Yeah.
Well, no, first I was like, she hasn't gone to bed yet. And so she's just coming over to like, hey, let's get brunch and go to take a nap.
Yeah.
And then she said, hey, your mom called me. And she said to call her. And then I was like, fuck.
Oh, no.
So anyway, I was 20. Of course, that changed everything.
Where was he at? Like as a 24-year-old, where was he living at home? Was he?
He was in Kansas City.
Okay.
It was kind of a train wreck because my dad, my mom, and I were in different cities.
Oh.
So my dad was in Kansas City working on selling the house. My mom was in Colorado because she had a new job and went up waiting for my dad to sell the house.
Right.
And I was in Wichita. So we all met in Kansas City.
Yeah. It's just you two?
Yes.
So, okay.
Yeah. So it was just us. And so it's very interesting when people say, oh, you're an only child. And I very quickly go through like these thoughts of, am I going to see this person again? How much do I want to reveal? And do they deserve it?
Yeah. Like that's a lot of unpacking.
Have they earned the information?
Right.
So sometimes I'm just like,
yeah, Brene Brown. It's very much like there's certain people who deserve to hear your truth kind of thing.
Yeah. And other people that it's like, oh, you have layers. You can handle this. You know, that's like, I am now, but you know, I lost my brother. And, you know, just kind of saying that. And usually it's like, that's enough for someone to just say, I'm sorry, shut it down and we change the topic. Fine. You know, So it's fine. Not everybody knows how to
process
support somebody. And it can be very awkward for people. And I don't want to make people feel awkward.
So you guys all meet back up in Kansas City.
Yeah.
What's that like? I mean, Jesus.
Ooh.
Yeah.
My poor friend Sarah, who drove me there. So 3 hours of me just sobbing and having all the first realizations of like, oh my God, I might not ever be an aunt. Oh my God, my parents might not ever be grandparents. You know, I'm shaking not because of what we're talking about, because of the coffee.
Okay. No, you're fine. You're fine.
And I remember we stopped at a gas station and I had to go in and get more Kleenex. And like, I didn't fucking care. I'm a mess. I'm just like sobbing in the gas station.
Of course.
And this sweet man behind the counter was like, he saw me and just like kind of put his head down and did the change and was like, I really hope you feel better.
Oh,
and I know.
And you remember that.
Yeah.
And you remember it. Oh.
Yeah. So what was it like? I remember the kitchen was dark. The lights weren't on, but it was daytime. So, I mean, you know, light was in. My mom came in. The three of us just held each other, you know, and kind of cried.
Now, did she, tell me if I'm overstepping, but did
Not at
she,
all.
where was he when it happened?
He was living in Kansas City with a roommate.
Okay. So they didn't find him. Okay. They didn't find him. Okay.
that part I actually never even thought about before doing this with you, to think about saying or not.
Yeah.
Because I've actually only said it a few times.
Right. And you don't have
people.
to. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
His roommate didn't find him. No one he knew found him.
Okay. Okay. Great.
We'll kind of leave it at that for now.
Okay.
But what my brain did was invent how it happened.
Really?
And I believed it until I found out what really happened. And so I thought, because I wanted to believe it so badly,
of course,
that he went out in the middle of the woods,
oh my God.
which for me is like, oh, trees.
Right. Nature. Yeah.
And did it there.
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking back, like, where did you get that? Because I was like, that's what happened. I think I even told somebody.
That's just part of the grief process. Just like,
I don't know.
That's so interesting.
Some kind of denial or something.
Right.
And then
you needed to like make it make sense.
The way I found out about what really happened was actually from his roommate, which is a real bummer, because I asked his roommate, tell me the sequence of events that morning.
Okay.
Because I need to know, because my imagination.
Yeah, you need to, that's my whole thing. It's like, I need you to make it clear, because I've had a few friends that have died from suicide, and I'm like, tell me exactly. There's ones where it's like it included alcohol, and then it was done in a way that you're like, that's not even plausible. How would that, and you're like, just put the pieces together, because it's torture.
Yeah, it is torture.
So you asked him.
I was in my car about to go to the gym, because after he passed, I dove into the gym and was there 5 days a week for like 4 hours a day.
Oh my God.
And he said, well, you know, the cops came to my house and were like, do you know this person? And he was like, yeah. And then they told me where he found him.
So he told you this.
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah. So he told you what was leading up to that day. Was it a normal day?
And I was like,
was it,
what?
Oh my gosh. I can't even, on both sides of this, it's just awful.
Well, and having like the imagination that we do as like creators can be and could be way worse than like what happened, but I don't know. My parents and I have had some very difficult conversations that have ended with me like throwing up and shaking and having to like hold me in bed.
Yeah.
But they're amazing and some of the strongest like people I know.
1,000%. So, okay, after this happens, I mean, I hate to jump to this next part, but I also don't want to dig too deep into that.
Well, yeah, we could talk about it forever.
Yeah. So what is the, would you say is the medicine that helped you heal? I mean, obviously healing is a process and never definitive, but what helped you once the dust settled on that to kind of heal from that?
Well, I mean, it was 2002. So we had our like 20-year anniversary last year. So it's been a while. So yes, time.
Right.
You know, but
of course.
For me, medication for my depression and anxiety, I like cannot support that enough.
Yeah.
Because there's been years where I've tried to wean myself off and be like, because I don't want to be on this. No, thank you.
No, absolutely.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So did you need it before this?
No.
Okay.
So it makes me wonder if I would have needed it even if I hadn't lost my brother.
Yeah, because I'm wondering if it's genetics or if it could just be
It's really hard to tell. And meditation and therapy.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's a smorgasbord of,
right.
I can't stress enough how it changes your chemistry. I have more clarity. I can make decisions easier later in the day. Like it doesn't always show up when you're done meditating.
Right.
It's like, oh, I just had an experience. Like it doesn't have to be like that every time. It won't be like that every time. But later in the day, when something is difficult or challenging,
it for me regulates my emotions. And like since I had Everly, my meditation routine has been whack. Like it has not been on schedule, of course.
What was it like before?
It was, my whole thing was different. So I would go hiking 3 times a week with my dog. I would meditate every morning for just 10 to 15 minutes. And then if it was a day that I felt like I needed it more, I'd throw in a lunchtime one. And then I'd do like almost, because I was raised Catholic. I'm not really Catholic anymore, but I would do, instead of prayer at night, it was like meditation. So it's like the same, it's all the same, it's just not religious, and just kind of centering and trying to clear your mind. And it has been so whack lately that I've just now gotten back into it the last 3 weeks. But it is a mood regulator because leading up to that, even in a car, like the road rage I would experience, like, which is, I never have road rage. But if you get out of alignment like that, the funniest things will make you snap versus like once you're, and I also think it's the routine of it. You can't just like pop in and out of meditation, which some people, I mean, maybe that works for some people. For me, it doesn't.
It will show up in all the other areas of my life when I'm not doing it.
Yeah, right?
Yes. I used to go to the Den. I don't know if you ever went to
in
the
West
Den.
Hollywood.
There's one there. Well, there was. It's gone.
Yeah,
and in Studio City, and it's gone.
Okay.
But it was like group meditating.
Yes.
And like just the rooms in the place were just so beautiful. And like, I partly went just for the aesthetic because I'm like, I love this vibe. And there was this one time where my back was hurting. And so like I was being really quiet, but kind of like shifting, you know, and there was maybe like 25 people in there. And this lady during the silent with everybody laying in there trying to meditate, you're moving too much and being distracting. And I just took everything in me to like push it out, just ignore, because I'm like, I'm not going to add to this distraction that you just caused. So afterwards I was like, I can't not say something. I can't just leave. I cannot.
Yeah.
So I went in there and she was talking to the teacher. I was like, oh, hey, yeah. Were you the one that like
called me out or something?
Yeah. And I said, well, maybe next time, maybe just keep it to yourself, because I think you saying something was way more
worse.
Distracting.
Way worse.
Than what I was doing. So just like something to think about, like in the future.
What was her response?
And she was she was just very much in denial. It was just like, oh yeah, no, I mean, it was just like really loud, and I'm like,
so you got louder, lady.
I'm the most sensitive to like other people's.
Absolutely,
like, I'm the one who's like tiptoeing all the time.
Can you share? Is it okay? Can you share your specific antidepressant? What medications you're on?
Oh fuck yeah. Well, one, don't ever do Effexor, because that was the first one I was on.
Okay.
And it took me 4 years to wean off of it. And if I didn't take it within a 2-hour window.
Are you joking?
I wouldn't be able to open my eyes. I would be throwing up. It was awful. I was like taking the pills apart and doing like the little drops just to keep it in my system until I could like let go of it completely. So anyway.
That's insane.
Yes. They've changed
Effexor.
the chemistry since then.
Effexor is not sponsoring this? Okay, great.
I'm on Wellbutrin, which I highly recommend. And
that seems to be pretty popular.
Yes. And is like kind of a go-to and really mild for a lot of people. I'm also on Celexa.
Okay.
Because I don't remember the science behind serotonin, moxibusin.
Right.
But it was like, well, this goes towards like motivation, and this goes more towards like helping the anxiety.
Isn't that fascinating how like it can trigger? And like I did Zoloft for a little bit in my, like when I was 24, and it took the doctor a long time to get me to take it because I was so adverse to it. I was like, I don't need medication. I want to do everything holistically. And he goes, look, sometimes there are just neurons in your brain that aren't firing the way they're supposed to. And most of the time in your situation, they just need a kickstart. Thank you. That's it. And I'm not kidding you, within, I think this is so long ago, but within a week or two, I mean, I was literally, I was bartending at night, right? So I would sleep until 3 p.m., wake up, shower, go to work, and rinse and repeat. And I was literally just a zombie. And my boyfriend was like, what is happening? What's going on? I was like, I don't have any motivation to do anything, which is very, you know me, very unlike me. And within like a week.
And your sleep is fucked.
Sleep is so fucked. And then I was almost thriving 2 weeks later. Like what? That is definitely, something was chemically wrong, and I needed and I'm not on it anymore, but I just needed help. You just need some help.
Just a little help.
Yeah.
And, there is some trial and error, unfortunately, with medication, and that can really suck, but I hope it doesn't deter people
from trying it.
Because there is like that right fit.
Yeah. Was your brother on anything?
He was, I don't want to say the wrong medication. I want to say Zoloft, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Which at the time, and some still do, side effect is suicide.
Yeah, I know. And that's the weirdest thing. Like you're watching those advertisements for antidepressants, and it's like, and sometimes
could cause depression.
And you're like, isn't that the point?
Yikes.
Yeah.
So I'm on those. We've played with all kinds of like variations of the milligrams and stuff. And like right now I have a good thing, but I did try to get off. I don't want to be on it. And I did try to get off of it. And
what happens when you try to go off of it?
Hopelessness. I just have no hope for anything.
Yeah.
I don't have hope for my career. I don't have hope for my fitness. I don't have hope for anything.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That it can just keep that on for you.
Yeah. So the medication and the meditation, my meditation medication, some might say.
Yes.
Really is kind of like that pill. And it really did start with like 3 minutes a day in the morning of just like kind of stillness and just trying to clear the mind. And it's built to, 20 minutes a day. And a lot of times at night, it'll be guided meditations. Jason Stevenson, Sarah Blondin, The Honest Guys, all really great ones to listen to and fall asleep to if you want.
Yeah.
And
I haven't heard of any of those, so that's great.
Really great.
Yeah.
And I work towards trying to not have guided meditation and just music. And then there's times where I try to just do silence, and that's hard and uncomfortable.
I like a good guided meditation though, man. I love it because it's like
our imaginations get to run wild with the visualizations.
Yeah,
and it's fun.
I'm down. It also changes things up, so it doesn't feel so stagnant for me.
Yeah,
but yeah. So okay, so I do want to touch on how I didn't. So again, Sarah and I've known each other since we were 14. Now granted, we were 20 when this happened. So out of the house, I had no idea about this. Sarah and I reconnected in Los Angeles.
2008?
9. I moved out here in 9. Yeah, something like that.
9.
So you moved out before I did. So 2009, we reconnected. I did not know about her brother's suicide until 2 years ago. When did you start fundraising?
Yeah.
So you started fundraising for the Hangman film. Tell us about that.
Well, I was always like, we have comedy backgrounds and it's just kind of in our blood.
Right.
And I was like, I got to make a dark comedy about suicide.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you do that? I was not writing and I was not writing and and I'm like, God, I sat on it for like 7 years or something. And finally my fiance was like, you're not doing it, then hire someone to help you. And I was like, right. Because we're just, it's like in LA, you got to grind. You got to do it all yourself.
You hustle. You got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I did. And they helped me like kind of get everything on paper.
I think that's smart too for something so close to home and so personal that you have a team to kind of be like, okay, this is.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know how to filter
which is
stuff out
another reason why I didn't want to direct it. And
it
was like, I'm going to hire somebody else who knows exactly what they're doing to do this. I was like, okay, I can't tell my story yet, maybe in the future. So I told a story, but about my grief journey.
Wonderful.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So this character who I play, Gwen, goes through all the stages of grief in like a really short amount of time. So we see all the different ways that can happen. And you're in the grocery store and a song comes on and you break, whatever it is.
Right.
But the point is that grief can make you do ridiculous things and that's okay. And to like kind of relieve the judgment of that. I mean, there's times where I'm sobbing in my car and screaming and whatever. And then I'm like, oh shit, I can't see the road. And I'm like trying to like get, the tears out of my eyes so I can drive on the 101. Or, everybody's had, loss, whether it's a relationship or a person or whatever, everybody. Can relate to that.
There was somebody that was on recently who said, I learned to forgive myself for all the things I did when I was surviving. And there's a lot of coexistence with that and grief because the stuff we do during grief, there's a lot of times where you're just surviving and the craziest stories come out of that.
Yes.
Man. Crazy.
Yes. And that's kind of what the Hangman is about. And it, with COVID and everything, it took like probably longer, than it should.
Of course. Yeah. But everything did. Yeah.
We finished it. I'm super proud of it. We just had our world premiere in Dallas.
Hell yes.
And our LA premiere will be in July.
I'll be there.
Yeah. So I'm really proud of it because like the stages of grief don't need to go in that order, and they didn't go in that order for me. Anger came way later.
Anger is second?
Third, fourth. Let's see.
Denial.
I mixed them up
on
purpose. So I don't quite remember, but
I've never found that it went in that order for me.
It can.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And I also think it's not linear where it's like, okay, you've checked off the first one. Now move to the second one and you're never going to go back to the first one. It's like, no.
Yeah. And like the response to the film is just like, I don't know. I wanted it to be relatable. I wanted people, also the ones left behind, to be seen. Often we hear the story about the one who we lose, but what about the ones who were left behind?
I love that messaging, because it is you. Because when it was called, all I knew it was called Hangman, and so I was like, oh, is this going to be about specifically your brother? Didn't know that if it would be or not. And then is it going to be of that event? And I was like, oh, I wonder how she's making that different. Where it's like, well, now you're actually showing the grief of the people left behind. I think that's so needed.
I just didn't feel like I saw it a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's something I can speak about,
right,
you know?
Right.
And
especially as the sister.
Yeah.
Are you the sister in the film of the person?
No, it's about a woman who lost her husband.
Oh.
So very different.
Yeah.
Something I fortunately haven't experienced, but it's about the grief process that was mine.
Right.
And
that's the part that is yours. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So I changed the story a little bit. Maybe it's just like too close to home to like tell my exact story.
Yes,
and like
sometimes that like gets really muddy.
You know, I also didn't think it was necessary for me personally or for my family or, you know.
I think also for you to act.
Oh, fuck.
And that would have been.
I
don't even know how you'd even do that. That would be impossible.
I already was like, I'm wearing too many hats, and I like just wanted to act for once. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but it's like, you know, I'm a control freak, so it was like that, you know, wasn't gonna happen. But I can't wait to show it to you.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. One more question. Well, there's two more questions, but on this topic, has doing the film changed how you feel about your brother now?
I think it has reinstated the thought that like no one could have changed anything. And that's part of the message in this film, is that like it is not the fault of anyone left behind.
Right.
And chances are you probably couldn't change anything. But if anything, I think it has freed up my grief process even more, because I've been so adamant about, you know, all the essays we've written and all the submissions for festivals and things like that, telling about the story, that it's like, it is okay to grieve differently, and pushing this sort of like rhetoric that it's like, oh yeah, it is, you know, and that it's like, I'm finally like feeling some of that it's just, you know, it's going to be in different areas, and like, he'll come up in Smells and Metallica and different, you know, Beavis and Butthead is coming back out, and he used to watch it all the time.
God. Yeah.
You know, things like that. And it's like, it's okay. And like my tattoo also, this is a reminder. It was from,
it's on your wrist. What does it say?
It says, instead, I will use them to write love songs. And the first part of the sentence was, I won't deny my memories. Instead, I will use them to write love songs.
I love that.
And it was from a piece about him that I did at like a reading on stage somewhere. And it's like, I was feeling guilty back in the day when I was like really studying acting, that using old feelings or old memories or anything like that, and
like
feeling like a fraud, kind of like a betrayal. Yeah.
Okay.
And then being like, no, that's what makes me a good actor. I can access my emotions, and I've lived life that I can bring, you know,
like
to
something
characters.
authentic, like that you can tap into something that almost very few people can tap into.
Yeah. So the love songs, you know, it's art, whatever it happens to be. It's like, I'm going to use these to write my love song. So I'm really proud that I feel like Hangman was a big love song.
I cannot wait to see it. I'm going to watch it tonight. Okay. And then last question. After all of this craziness and very sad journey, but then with some levity and light at the end, what is the funniest thing that you learned?
Oh my God. Because grief has made me laugh. I mean, there was this moment I got in a car accident out in LA, and like I had to have like these nerve tests done on my back that were torture. And I was in the car, and like I was trying to turn left off of Ventura, and this person behind me is like, neat, 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 like just kept honking. And I'm like, I can't turn left.
It's going to drive me insane.
I put that car in park. I unbuckled my seat. I popped out and I ran over to his, and I was like, be an adult. Like that was my, I'm going to put you in your place.
Be an adult.
You know, I mean, it's like, it makes you do crazy things. Also, don't make too much noise during a meditation with other people.
Don't do that.
Because you're going to get called out in front of everybody.
You're going to get called out. I still want to find that lady. I hope she's still going there.
I wonder how her serenity's going,
Yeah, just pure bliss. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Do you have any other stories you want to share? Any other crazy things that you did through grief?
Oh my God. Nothing pops, in my head right this second, but it's okay to find the funny in the trauma and
I always say it's, because they say, tragedy plus time is comedy, right?
Yeah.
And I think it applies to every single thing.
Yes.
Some of it, you just need a lot of time.
I was going to say time really is one of the biggest components.
Yeah.
And that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I remember being at his memorial and this woman came up to me. I didn't know who she was. And said, "Hey, I lost my brother too. Like when I was about your age." And something like, "It will get better," something like that. And I was just like, so out of it at the time.
Yeah. In a daze.
But I still remember thinking, God, it's so far away. It's so far away though.
Like you knew in your gut, you're like, it's not tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's going to be a minute.
Like I believed her, but I was also like, oh, that's a different planet.
Yeah.
Now it's been, 20 years and it's different.
Yeah.
And I guess easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you've had so much time to think about it.
Right. And process. Mm-hmm. And that's when you find like levity. But again, 20 years, meditation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Meditation.
There's no easy fix. There's no easy fix.
No. Time. People meditate. Just give it a shot.
Yeah.
Shit is going to pop up. You're going to feel some things.
For some reason in LA, the last 3 yoga classes I've been to, which I'm not, I end up going with a friend who it's like, I get another free pass. Do you want to go with me? I was like, sure. Because to me, it is not a workout at all. It is purely for meditation. That's it, to clear my head. And sometimes I'm like, I'm not in the mood to do it today. I want to be in my shit or whatever. Mm-hmm. But when I go, the last 3 classes I've been to, somebody openly weeps or at least starts to cry. And I'm like, and everybody kind of looks and is like, I know, I've been there. I've cried in a few yoga classes when they do the open the heart chakra.
I was going to say, it's the openers, the hip openers, and we store so much emotion in our hips.
I will weep like a baby.
Been there.
There's also something that I learned about last week called a trauma massage, where they open up, it's just a regular massage, but they focus on opening up your chest area and your hip flexors, because that's where you hold
Yes. Oh.
Oof. Oh
my God.
Let that out on the table.
To think about that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But yeah, same with yoga. It's more of just getting in your body and shit's going to come up and that's okay. It needs to, got to address that shit.
Yeah.
Or it is
going to push it down.
Eat at you somewhere later.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm so glad I had you.
My pleasure.
Yes, okay. Guys, if you like this episode as much as I did, don't forget to follow me on all the socials and NicoleComedy.com and wherever you find your podcast. Thank you.